Battle through the firmament. Great world. Chapter 500. It was time to deal with him. Kakakaka. As the spiritual king was completely enraged, the wind and clouds in this area suddenly changed. Like a tornado, it destroyed everything within a radius of dozens of miles. The fury of an emperor cultivation warrior was enough to tear apart anything that stood in his way. This guy. The smile on Xiaoao's face had disappeared, and it was replaced by a solemn expression. The strength of a spirit king was much stronger than Yin Juxuan's. Even if he could win, the price he would have to pay must be extremely painful. Taking a deep breath, the imperious dragon's sword in Xiaoao's hand tightened. With a whistle, it rushed towards the spirit king. The latter's aura had already soared to its peak. If he did not suppress it any longer, the strength that he had displayed was definitely not something that he could deal with. Die. Seeing Xiaoao rushing towards him, a murderous look flashed across the Spirit King's eyes. With a furious roar, he suddenly opened his 5 fingers and a majestic origin key pillar shot out diagonally. It was as if it had pierced through the space, causing the sound of fluttering wind to be heard. Xiaoao gritted its teeth. The clothes on its arms were all torn apart. Its exposed arms were covered with dense purple dragon scales. It tightly gripped the hour-long mace and smashed it towards the origin key pillar that was flying towards it. Clang! It was as if it had struck a piece of metal. This heavy blow, which was sufficient to cause the air to hiss, merely caused the origin key pillar to tremble slightly. In the next moment, it was as though the mountains and seas had been overturned as it once again smashed towards Xiaoao. Damn it! A fury flashed across Xiaoao's eyes when it saw this. With a flip of its wrist, the Dragon Prideful Sword was withdrawn. Although the Dragon Prideful Sword was far superior to high-tier spirit weapons of the same tier, it was ultimately unable to match a heavenly weapon. With the strength of an Emperor cultivation expert's body, ordinary spirit weapons would not be able to cause much damage to him. Not to mention the Spirit King who had displayed all of his strength at this moment. Dragon Tablet Hand. At the same time that the imperious dragon's sword was put away, the Xiaoaos around Xiaoao whistled. In an instant, the purple gold light almost enveloped Xiaoao. A stone tablet that seemed to be able to suppress the ages emerged from the light. It carried an irresistible force as it ruthlessly smashed into the surging origin kiss. Insignificant skill, the Spirit King muttered softly to himself. The corner of his mouth curled up in disdain. This origin key pillar, it was just a casual move of his. Most of its power was enough to make this brat in front of him use all of his strength to deal with it. No one could imagine the true strength of an Emperor cultivation warrior. Spirit Demon Arm. The Spirit King didn't even look at the huge golden monument in the distance. He shouted and his right arm trembled. Then, it suddenly stretched out in a strange way. In an instant, it was a few miles long. The 5 fingers of the Spirit King were sharp. Dazzling origin kiss were flowing in all directions, as if they were going to pierce through the space. Chi. His extended right arm had already charged into the purple gold light amid the electric sparks and fire rocks. He suddenly clenched his hand and grabbed Xiaoao within it. Before the Spirit King could make a move, the Xiaoao in his hand suddenly trembled. Immediately, it transformed into a pill key and dissipated. The Xiaoao within the purple gold light had already disappeared. Bastard, it's another body transformation. Pill. The Spirit King's eyes turned cold. He suddenly pulled his hand out from the purple gold light. At the same time, the purple gold ancient tablet had already scattered the majestic origin key pillar. It carried a powerful force as it smashed towards the former. Crack. The Spirit King did not say anything. He suddenly extended his arm. His 5 fingers moved gently and easily shattered the purple gold ancient tablet. It turned into an origin key that disappeared into the sky and earth. Let's see if you can hide there. The Spirit King's face was covered in ice. He coldly looked downwards. A powerful origin key surged within his palms. Like a chain, he suddenly swung downwards. Rumble. The origin key chain struck the ground. In an instant, rock fragments surged. 200 zhang long cracks instantly appeared. Wherever the cracks passed, there was no trace of life. Everything in the surrounding sky was sensed by the Spirit King. It was the place where Xiao could hide. In his opinion, there was only the forest below. Hull hoo! The origin keychains struck the air and emitted a frightening sound. When the dense forest below came into contact with the origin keychains, it quietly turned into flying dust, revealing a large stretch of red land. Swoosh! Just as the origin keychains were about to swing down, a figure suddenly rushed out from below and flew into the distance. The Spirit King raised his eyelids, but his expression didn't change at all. It was another incarnation formed by the incarnation of an incarnation pill. It could fool a monarch emperor, but it was insignificant to him. Why does this old man have such sensitive senses? Behind a mountain rock below, Xiao gritted its teeth and looked at the Spirit King in the sky. The origin keychain in the latter's hand whistled down and hit the ground hard. It was only 1,000 feet away from where he was. He turned around and looked into the distance. By relying on the connection between his blood and Shaoyan, he could clearly sense the location of the latter. At the same time, he could also feel a trace of a destructive aura spreading in the air. Presumably, the spiritual king could also sense it. Xiao clenched its teeth and let out an angry cry. All of Shaoyan's incarnations, who were hiding in the forest, followed the order and leaped up. They rushed towards the Spirit King to distract the latter's attention. Xiao also swallowed all of the transformation pills. In an instant, 9 Xiao appeared beside him at the same time. Swoosh! Suddenly, several human figures flew out from the forest below. The Spirit King looked over and saw that they were all in Shaoyan's appearance. However, he did not know that they were real people. His gloomy eyes quickly swept across the numerous Shaoyan who had appeared in the sky. The Spirit King let out a cold humph and sent out a sound wave. These figures instantly turned into Korki and dispersed. The moment all the human figures disappeared, the Spirit King suddenly frowned as if it had sensed something. It raised its head and looked into the distance. Before it could react, a furious shout was heard from behind. 10 human figures and 10 Xiao rushed towards the former at the same time. What a reckless move! The Spirit King laughed in extreme anger. He temporarily retracted his doubtful gaze. He could feel that, among the 10 people, there was the true body of Xiao. Boom! The origin keychain in his hand was swung horizontally. The air buzzed. At a strange angle, it pierced through the human figures like a snake. The Xiao that was hit did not make a sound, indicating that it had turned into Korki. When it struck the 6th Xiao, the latter's body suddenly turned and forcefully dodged the fierce attack. I've found you. The Spirit King laughed softly. He suddenly waved his remaining hand. The origin keychain shot out like lightning and smashed onto the back of Xiao. The latter's face turned white in an instant, and a mouthful of purple gold blood could not help but spurt out. Hualala! The origin keychains tightly wrapped around Xiao. The Spirit King laughed loudly and much of his fury dissipated. He mocked, "Where is Shaoyan? Did he leave you behind and run away?" The eyes of Xiao flickered with a purple golden light. A deep roar was heard from its throat. The chain that was wrapped around Xiao seemed to have collapsed. Humph! The Spirit King laughed disdainfully. He exerted even more strength with his 5 fingers. The origin key within his body whistled out. A layer of golden light quietly spread across the origin key chains in his hands, trapping Xiao even more firmly. I would like to see where he can run to. Below the Emperor cultivation, ants are no match for him. Seeing the struggling expression of Xiao, the Spirit King said, "This was the true strength of an Emperor cultivation. When it erupted, a monarch Emperor warrior would never be able to fight it." He. Xiao suddenly laughed and looked into the distance. A hint of joy could be seen on its face. What? Upon seeing the expression on Xiao, the Spirit King's expression changed drastically. Only now did he recall the doubts he had earlier. He looked into the distance and saw a black-robed young man standing in the sky. He was breathing heavily. In his palm, an exquisite 3-colored fire lotus was rotating slowly. At the same time, a destructive aura that caused him to tremble slowly spread out and covered the entire sky. Chapter end. Please guys, like, comment, share, and subscribe.